Welcome to Vue Designer's config panel. So to visually work on your apps in Vue Designer, all that you have to do is install and configure the Pinegrow Vite plugin or the integration modules for your Meta framework. Vue Designer aims to support all Vite-powered Vue apps, irrespective of the Meta framework used in your application. Now it makes it really easy with the config panel by providing the right instruction for the framework that's used in your application. Now in this guide, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about config panel, the purpose of this panel, and how it makes it really easy for us to install the necessary packages to visually work on our Vue apps in Vue Designer. You don't have to follow this step by step. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to scaffold a fresh Vue project following the official docs, and then open it in Vue Designer, and we will run through the config panel. Let's get started. So what we have in front of us is a fresh Vue app scaffolded by following the official docs, and I'm going to open that in the browser. It should be a familiar one. You must have definitely seen this in the past. What we're going to do is I'm going to go back to Vue Designer, and then I'm going to open that new project in Vue Designer. So I'm navigating to where I've created that project and open that newly created project in Vue Designer. Now, the first time when we open any project in Vue Designer, irrespective of what it is, there are a couple of validations that are done. Whether your project has a package JSON in the project root, is the node modules available with the installed dependencies at the root of your repository, or if it was a mono repo. Other things like is there a valid config file? For example, Vite config file, Nuxt IELTS config file. So it also validates if it is a Vue app, that is Vue installed as a dependency, either as a direct dependency or as a peer dependency through some other package. So that we support only Vue apps in Vue Designer because it is a Vue Designer. So now when we open a new folder, a project folder in Vue Designer, the config panel automatically pops out. And then let's scroll down, and you can see that on the top there is actually a setup section that says action required, and then it's giving some helpful information. I'm going to scroll down, and it has a section that talks about the Pinegrow Vite plugin. So all that we have to do is follow the installation and configuration information as per this guide. And then there are other steps in this config panel displayed under the Pinegrow Vite plugin with regards to creating some Vite aliases, adding temporary files that are used in Pinegrow apps to the gitignore. And if you are new to TypeScript and you're still in a transitionary phase in terms of adopting TypeScript, what you can do is you can allow JS in your tsconfig and also turn off strict mode. And so those helpful informations are provided in the config panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow all these instructions, and let's see what happens. So I have followed that guide, and I have installed and configured the Pinegrow Vite plugin and followed the other steps that was shown in the config panel. And what we see immediately is there's no action required red status anywhere in the status here. And if I scroll up to the top, the setup doesn't show the status action required, rather it's completed. What it means is we just installed the Vite plugin, so the setup is completed. And what it shows below that is the project root, where it shows obviously the path of your project, and also a connection status, which is inactive at the moment. So it provides some information around what that status means and what we can do now. So the next step is to start our dev server. So I'm going to go to Visual Studio Code and say npm run dev. And we can see the notification here that says Pinegrow connected to the dev server URL. Now, when I come back to Vue Designer, you can see that the connection is active and we are connected, and it's asking us to open a startup page. So at any point in time, if we want to see the setup instructions for our Vite plugin or any package per se, we can go down to that particular package and then use this drop down here and then go to setup, and then we can look at all the instructions that was there for that plugin. Now let's close the config panel, and now let's open the starter page. Now you can see that the starter page is either the app.vue or index page if it is available. So in our case, it is app.vue, and I'm going to double click to collapse the project panel. And then if I click on the header of the app, it'll actually give us the app tree, which is it should be quite familiar if you have used Vue DevTools. So these are the set of components that are in this particular route, and we can drill down into that particular components to visually live design your components. So I've got you did it, which is actually, so there's a text below that. I'm going to double click this to open it in the code editor, and you've successfully created a project with Vue 3 and opened the same in Vue Designer. And then you can see that Vite instantly provided HMR, and the app is updated. So before wrapping up, note that the config panel is dynamic in nature, depending on what framework is used in your project, whether it's Vite or Nuxt or ISLE. It will provide the instructions for the right Vite plugin or the integration module. And moreover, it does have some additional features. For example, the project root, I can click on it to open the project folder in my file explorer, which is Finder in my Mac. And in addition to that, we can alt click on that to open the project in the last used Visual Studio Code window. So if I alt click that, it opens, it's already open. It opens in the last Visual Studio Code, along with opening it in the file explorer. In addition to that, it lists the key set of packages, frameworks, meta frameworks, CLIs. If you expand those, you got links to all these ecosystems, to the official docs, the Git repo. It tells which version is installed, also links to the different community. If you want to reach, obviously you can reach it yourself in the browser, but it can be helpful sometimes. That's the config panel, and it can be also accessed, opened from the View menu by clicking on Open Config Panel. And it's quite a useful feature, and this way Vue Designer aims to support any meta framework within the Vue community, so that we are able to live design any Vite powered Vue apps. Thanks very much, and then we'll run through the whole process of installing the plugin and then configuring everything in a separate guide. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.